Ladies and gentlemen, organizers, players, sponsors, special guests, and Thorsten. I am very pleased to have been granted the honor of addressing this elite gathering of the best in pool and billiards. Given the fact that I find myself in this unfamiliar position, and believe me when I tell you that, I am far more nervous here than when I am at the pool table. Therefore, you might forgive me for choosing this drink over a glass of water. It might help. It was 1995 when I first heard about a 16-year-old player from Fulda who was already busy collecting youth titles and taking his role as a league player serious enough that even well-accomplished senior players felt like they got run over by a bus after playing him. It wasn't too long before I actually got to see him play. What I found remarkable was the rather unusual, almost robot-like stoic execution of his strokes in perfect alignment. His club trainer, here in the US you would probably say the house pro, seemed to have done his job well. So well that it was absolutely alarming for the current German elite players, including me. So in 1999 I switched to Thorsten's home club and we became teammates. We spent the next 5 years competing together in the German National League for German and even European titles. Meanwhile, he repeatedly garnered a great deal of attention at German national tournaments and greatly adding some numbers of worry lines on the faces of established German top players, especially with his string of 2-zip victories in some finals. Despite all of this early success, he remained curious and hungry for knowledge, which was expressed in the steady supply of questions he bombarded me with when we met. And I was nice enough to answer these questions, even though I wasn't even his coach. He was also admitted to the sports support group of the German armed forces. They didn't even have such a thing when I served, but since the 90s they have actually reserved 2 spots for pool and billiard players per year. One of these spots was permanently reserved for a current billiard player, and Thorsten managed to snag the other spot for pool, with full salary and the order to practice pool till he couldn't stand. It was during this time that Thorsten also began to feel something like performance pressure for the first time. Many of his friends and promoters were already saying that he definitely had the potential to become a world champion. Thorsten would certainly be only too happy to fulfill those expectations, and a special responsibility materialized since not every young player can be granted this exclusive encouragement. I still remember well the time when Thorsten and I took a walk at a small lake near his hometown of Fulda. Remember Thorsten? He told me about these expectations and probably was hoping that I, as an author of books about pool, could somehow magically make this pressure disappear. I had other ideas and told him something like, become world champion? Listen up, Thorsten. With all the support, the encouragement, your talent and excellent technical training, I believe you should win at least 3 world titles. I thought by saying that the pressure might become so great that he would perhaps abandon his quest. Instead, he really rolled up his sleeves, got down to business, and seemed he had even found a higher gear. When the 2003 WPA World 9-Ball Championship commenced in Cardiff, and I saw the odds bookmakers were offering, which had Thorsten at 1 to 125, even a conservative sissy like me couldn't resist wagering a few English pounds. This was although I had already gotten word that Thorsten was planning to begin an apprenticeship as a bank clerk after the tournament, if not winning it. However, everything went like clockwork for him until the quarterfinals, when Thorsten fell behind 10-6 in a race to 11 with a wide open table for his opponent. And if Bustamante would be here, I would say, Django, you could have saved us, baby. Once Thorsten made his way to the Pool Players' Paradise, the US, in 2004, we saw each other now and then, but nowhere near as frequently as before. In the years after, and depending on which year the 14-1 World Tournament count as an official world title, I received 2 of the shortest WhatsApp messages of all times from Thorsten, which reminded me of our walk by the lake. The messages read, 2, and finally in 2013 I got another one, 3. Meaning that Thorsten had finally fulfilled my prediction of 3 world titles. I remember sharing a room with Thorsten at one of the World 14-1 tournaments, just to tell you another story. He wanted to wear one of my vests. It was a very fancy vest with lots of bling. He played well. He played well in that vest, and I told him he could keep it if he won the tournament. He did. For the next 2 years after that, he won some more events with it. The American Straight Pool Championship, Japan Open, another World Tournament, and so on. He appeared on the covers of various pool and billiard magazines, including Billiards Digest, wearing my former vest. I had mixed feelings. On the one hand, I was happy for Thorsten, while on the other hand, it was a little frustrating seeing my former vest having a great deal more success than me. And yet, it's not just these world titles. I'm not sure whether you have 3, 4, or 5 of them now that you made history with, Thorsten. Rather, there's also the 350,000 final of the IPT Tour, all the titles you won in Asia, and now you're also starting to develop and offer a line of modern training pool tools. You have always enjoyed helping other talented players and supporting them with your contacts. In chapter 24 of my book, The Final Freedom, I quoted my mentor, Mr. Kim, who said, "The energy you waste in keeping others down will not be available for you when you attempt to achieve your own heights." Remembering the meaning of that statement, I am not at all surprised to see how far you have come. Therefore, your contribution to our sport is not just a magnificent competitive career. I view life not so much as a competition, but rather as a painting. And I would like to thank you for the beautiful picture you have painted for us over the years. It is colorful, rich in details, and has clear lines. I'm proud of you, and I'm delighted, along with everyone here, to confer the honor on you that you so richly deserve. Thorsten, I congratulate you on being inducted into the Hall of Fame of the Billiard Congress of America.
Sexy.
Last but not least, I can say I'm a little bit emotionally charged. Well, with Ralph's speech, we conclude the entertainment segment of this evening. Now you have to deal with me. I'm known as a man of very few words, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so excuse my lengthy speech. You really think you're going to be watching Shane play tonight? Lock the doors. I apologize for my appearance. It's not that I'm in preparation for Halloween or I got punched, but I developed an eye infection. In Germany we say, if you catch an eye infection out of nowhere, you must have looked at something dirty or ugly. Well, it makes perfect sense because a couple of days ago I re-watched my last match of the International Open. I shouldn't have done that. Before anything else, I want to thank my parents for their unconditional love and support. Without them, I quite literally wouldn't be here tonight. Never once did they question my career choices, and to this day, my mom is still my biggest fan. She doesn't speak a single word of English, but I find it quite amusing how she always manages to get updates on my matches through Facebook, chatting with strangers. Ralph. Isn't it quite obvious why I wanted Ralph to speak for me tonight? I want you all to know that there's still COVID restrictions on traveling from Germany to the US. You simply can't fly straight from a European Schengen country to America. Ralph had to leave Berlin and spend 2 weeks in Turkey just to be here for me and with us tonight. What a class act. You are my Hall of Famer. You always have been. I might have won a few tournaments, but I truly don't know anybody that is more dedicated and works harder than you. Everything you do has substance. Your philosophy on instruction is intelligent, structured, and comprehensive. Your live shows are spectacular and fun. Your storytelling is captivating and intellectual. Needless to say, Ralph is always dressed first class, and that's why I like to steal his vests on occasions. Oh, and each one of you should take out your phones right now and subscribe to his Instagram. I think Pool needs more Ralph Eckerts. Between all the people present in this room, I bonded with Ralph Eckert first. He was the star of the 5th anniversary party of our Pool-Billiard club in 1995. His trick show was mesmerizing, and his recently released Modern Pool, his first instructional book, became my Bible to study. Ralph early on predicted my future. He said, "The day will come when you go to the United States. The people there are nice, and you are a very likable guy. They will invite you back, and one thing is going to lead to another." And he was right. I remember having to play him in a game of straight pool in a league match. I already thought of myself as a straight pool big shot. Of course, I never told anyone. Had runs in the 30s and 40s. But when I watched Ralph surgically maneuver through each rack, I thought to myself, he really knows what he's doing. I was more a shooter, and that completely changed my perception of straight pool, and I started paying way more attention to my cue ball. Together, we played for Team Fulda for many years and won every title there was to win. You gave me advice when I was heartbroken over my relationships or just another missed 9 ball. I have become a better player, a better teacher, and I want to go as far to say a better person because of you. So thank you for everything, my friend. By the way, this might be the first time in my life I would say British racing green is my new favorite color. Speaking of British, Kelly Fisher. What an honor to celebrate this evening alongside with you. I'm now 42 years old and would officially qualify for the seniors division in Germany. I can't help but admit, I feel my age slowly creeping up on me. It still seems like yesterday. I was once labeled the new kid from the block, chasing titles, taking away invitational spots from other top players. Then reality sets in, and I already see myself reflected in guys like Joshua, Jason, Mario. They have the same passion and drive for winning everything. I think I can speak for everyone up here that it becomes quite a battle once you go past the 40s. I know Alex and Mika have to wear reading glasses. Ralph and Aaron have lost their hair. and Earl lost his marbles. I wish he was here because I wanted to say congratulations for the nomination to the most money. You actually inspire me. But then there's Kelly. For what she has been through, she simply defies age, and even with the fierce competition from China and threatening new generations emerging from Europe, she continues to just plow through anybody in her way. Number 1 in the world ranking, reigning world 9-ball champion. She even dominates in straight pool. What do they feed you? Bangers and mash, fish and chips, come on. Honestly, I was a little bit jealous when you beat me in the polls last year for the Hall of Fame 2020.
Sorry.
But if there's anybody I'm happy losing to, it's you. So Kelly, you're a sweetheart and a great inspiration to me. Never, ever stop. Congratulations. I'm so incredibly proud and honored to be here tonight. A big thank you to the Billiard Congress of America and the United States Billiard Media Association for making this dream come true. To share this very special moment in my life, first of all with Kelly, but also with players I have looked up to as a child, like Ralph and Nick and Mika and everybody, is astonishing. To have some of my closest friends here tonight, flying in from all over the country, makes me very happy. I don't cope with attention all too well, but I do look for recognition sometimes. Although there have been phases in my life where I felt neglected despite my achievements, this evening completes me. Very few of you know that when I was a child, I was diagnosed and suffered from extreme social anxiety. I dropped out of school for over 1 year, and to rehabilitate, I was sent to a psychiatric hospital, the Nut House. I had a hard time even speaking to people, but I think I made quite a recovery, don't you think? I credit the wonderful billiard community of Fulda and Pool to change my life. It is almost ironic that when you ask me what I cherish most of my 30 years and ongoing pool journey, that between all the accomplishments, the traveling, the fame and the wealth, what wins is actually all the wonderful connections and people Pool has introduced me to. Listen to this. Fulda had only one pool club. The nearest club was about 60 miles away. As a 12-year-old, I needed a driver to take me to junior events, league matches, and tournaments pretty much every weekend for at least the next 6 years. Sometimes 2 or 3 round trips per weekend. Not once I missed a match ever. There was always somebody there for me. I think growing up in the right environment might be the single most important ingredient for personal development and success. I was lucky to have Michael Wahl, the first person I met when I walked through the doors of the pool club in '92. He was my coach, and he's still like a father figure for me today. Quick trivia. Can anybody guess who was the first pro I played against at the age of 12? He's currently present in this room. I played him a single game of 8-ball.
Ralph.
Mike Messi. And I still have your autograph today. And then the very next day, still in Fulda, I met my very first girl crush, Alison Fisher. Did you have the same manager at the time? An event you wouldn't necessarily consider a pivotal point in my life was the fall of the Berlin Wall. Fulda was located in West Germany, but close to the eastern border. It was home to a substantial American army base, the Down Barracks. After the reunification of Germany in 1990, the American soldiers left Fulda, and in '93, all their abandoned buildings became vacant. The spirit of our pool club was suffering from a lack of motivation at the time. I remember players were rather playing cards than playing pool. But our board took the initiative and managed to move our club into one of the empty buildings, and with the new space, we flourished into one of the most beautiful and most successful pool clubs Germany had ever seen. We had hundreds of members. We won junior titles, men's and women's titles, junior team, wheelchair seniors. I think both Ralphs will remember our club. I was lucky to have amazing role models in my country. From the players of the club all the way to my heroes, Francisco Bustamante, who was living in Germany at the time, Oliver Wortmann, Thomas Eckert, and of course the legend, Ralph Sakay. I remember bothering a club member to drive me to Mörfelden, an hour and a half away, just to watch Ralph play his league match. Remember PC Mörfelden and the satellite Bundesliga matches? Edgar Nickel, Norbert Lang, Waldemar Markert. Boggles my mind when I think that, fasting forward, Ralph and I won events like the European Team Championship, Matchroom World Cup of Pool together, We have been on vacations, we call each other friends, and have even occasionally shaved each other's backs.
Too much information.
Ralph was the one who paved the way for German pool players to be included in the Army Sports Soldier program. Only carom players were accepted at the time, but Ralph fought for us, and he sued the country. Ralph Souquet against the Federal Republic of Germany.
Wow.
How good. And he won. So instead of pursuing a career in finance, it allowed me to further hone my pool skills from 98 till 2003 wearing camouflage. For 5 years, I had to submit my curated training schedule for the week on a Monday morning. My service included pool training and fitness with Michael Wall, competition on weekends, and watching Pat Fleming's entire Eckert library on VHS.
Oh my God.
So I'm very happy to say thank you today to my former employer, and I want to welcome the senior representative of the German Armed Forces here in the US, Colonel Matthias Arnold, and his lovely wife, Sabine. They've actually been hosting us for the last 2 weeks, with Ralph and Hunter. So thank you for coming. That leads me to the moment in 2003 at the World 9-Ball Championship in Cardiff, which Keith Paradise from Billiards Digest describes as, Thorsten Hohmann was 4 balls away from becoming a banker. Then his whole life changed. Well, it was Buster Money who missed a fairly easy 5-ball in our quarterfinal match to put me out of the tournament. Some might describe this as an accident, but where I am from, we believe that you must take responsibility if you lose, but might take full credit for if you win. So Django missing and me advancing to win the World Championship, instead of an accident, I would rather call it destiny. Destiny brought another person into my life, Charlie Williams. One can say we were a match made in heaven. On one hand, you have this shy, introverted German, and on the other hand, the guy that won't ever shut up. No, seriously, I had some of the best times of my life with Charlie. I remember my early days in the US, driving the streets of Orlando in his Jaguar, listening to music and discussing lyrics to improve my English. Thanks to Charlie, I'm familiar with every 80s love song ever written. And I also understand the meaning of Butterface and Gold Digger.
Oh my God. This is a long time ago, okay?
Back then, the Seminole Tribe of Florida was supporting a great 9-ball tour. Charlie and I participated in many of the events. After a few tour stops, I naturally played some guys over and over again. And one of them was Rob Siles, my first nemesis on US soil. After beating him for the 3rd time in a row, he started barking at me, "All you world beaters come over here and win our tournaments. Why didn't you play me a set for 1,000? Now my response will forever be Charlie's favorite Thorsten impersonation. Charlie likes to tell a story, imitating me with an overly exaggerated German accent. "I don't play for money, but for you, I make an exception."
I'm glad you told it.
Charlie imported me into the US. Charlie, you will always be my brother. I love you, and without you, I wouldn't be here tonight. At the time, my English still wasn't that great. I was more terrified of a post-match interview than playing F and race in a fully packed arena in Manila. What followed was a chain reaction of making connections in the United States. Just what Prophet Ralph Eckert predicted, and all initiated by Charlie. Jacksonville, Florida became my home. And thanks to Charlie and Cindy Lee, I got my first major sponsor, Lucasi Hughes. For 10 years, Q&K supported me, and I won some of my biggest events with their equipment, such as the IPT, World 9-Ball Championship. Also Simone's cloth, thank you, Ivan. was an important contributor to my success. As one of Pool's most traveled guys, it's simply too expensive to make it without sponsors, and I will always be grateful. With this, I also want to say thank you to Adrian of Cycloballs and Eric Dishes of the Billiard Factory in Jacksonville for your friendship and your support. I had two homes. The Dome in Jacksonville and its lovely couple Dan and Dee became my family and my rock in America. There they are. And I think that many of you here actually have been to their house. And then there were couches, many couches. Please raise your hand if I've ever stayed in your home. Special thanks to Dr. Louis Pannullo, Chris Hogan, Mark Kessel, and Christian Taylor. Some of my best friends, supporters, and they have the most comfortable couches. One of my most loyal travel companions is Hunter Lombardo. Hunter says he has shared a bed with me more often than he has with any woman in his life. Should I question his success with women? No, he's a stud. I've never been one of the most consistent players, but every now and then I would say, hey, I'm still here, pop out of nowhere and win something big. Where am I today? Even through the pandemic, I could count on the support of my sponsors Kamui Products, Molinari Cues, and Gabriel Tables. They never let me down. I live in New York City next to Carnegie Hall. I'm blessed with simply the best friends and have the most wonderful woman on my side with Sayaka. I get to play pool, record my sometimes silly social media videos, and share my passion through lessons at the most amazing pool room in the world, Amsterdam Billiards. You know, I do my fair share of traveling. I've been to 54 countries, and pre-pandemic, I've taken an average of over 60 individual flights per year. The world is beautiful, but coming back to Amsterdam always feels like coming home. Especially seeing Ralph, Earl, and good luck Mika tonight, still going at it. I still believe that I have a couple decades worth of competitive playing in me. And I hope to make an impact on the sport through various other ventures as well, like my target pool, Christian, other instruction, organizing events, and still trying to be the best ambassador for pool I can be. There's only one question left. If I was at the crossroads again and had to choose between becoming a successful guy that works in finance at a bank or being a professional pool player, would I really choose pool again? Fuck yeah.